Good morning. It's early April and it's Jane Portalupi and Tim Borges. We're here in the vineyard. We're very excited about this season. It's going to be incredibly warm this week, up in the high 70s. And after an enormous amount of rain, we are all very excited about what's going on. And Tim's going to talk a little bit about what's going on currently in the vineyard, which is bud break.
Yes, good morning. As Jane said, a long rainy season, plenty of water in the ground and in the reservoirs, which we always look forward to. And then all of a sudden, dryness, high temperatures last week and continuing this week. So it's springtime. It's the unofficial beginning of the 2011 harvest. And so what's going on out here in the vineyards, they've been dormant all winter, is you can see we're starting to get a little push of bud, little leafra, as we say, coming out. Within a matter of weeks, all the vines will be covered with the beginnings of their little leaf canopy, and of course will continue to grow through spring and into summer as the clusters develop on the vine as well. So that's what's going on. Spring has started, the growing season has started, so this is the beginning of the 2011 vintage.
So Tim, what goes on? Like, you've got a bud break there, and what's going to happen from that bud break?
Well, typically what happens is the way they've been pruned off back in wintertime, these bud breaks will occur on all these little spurs, and they'll be able to shoot the canes out, later create a canopy of leaves, and underneath clusters will develop that will be covered by the canopy of leaves so they don't get sunburned. So this is the effect of proper pruning, where the bud break occurs on those same canes or whips, as we call them, to reestablish the annual the leaf canopy for the grapes.
Sounds good. So as you can see, Tim and I are here in the vineyard, and Tim is going to talk a little bit about what's currently going on in terms of disking. You can see there's quite a bit of growth, and there's a reason for the growth, and Tim is going to talk about what's going on as far as that goes.
Well, here again, it's springtime, little bud break, and first activities start farming-wise back out in the vineyard again after the cold, wet, rainy winter, and the ground has just dried out enough that now we can get out here with tractors and discs, and we can disc under the cover crop. And the cover crop can be a number of different kinds of grasses, actually non-bearing bean legumes, which provide a certain nutrient and have a root character to it, as well as mustard, which is probably the most common thing planted in between the grape rows. The basic reason for doing this, there's multiple reasons, but the basic and most fundamental reason is they provide soil stabilization. So during that winter time when it's raining, we don't get soil erosion. We keep the integrity of the soil mantle, and that's the primary reason for a cover crop. So now that's going to be disked under now that the ground's drying up enough to sort of alleviate the soil and start the growing season. So that's what's going on out in the vineyard in early spring.
Sounds good. You can hear the machinery in the background. We're actually doing some disking today. So it's going to be a warm, beautiful day for everybody to be out working in the vineyard. Bye! Good morning. It's Jane Portalupi, and I'm here with my husband, Tim Borges. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the vineyard in terms of rainfall this year. We've had an enormous amount of rain, and Tim's going to talk about the impact of the heavy rainfall for the growing season.
Yeah, we had an outstanding rainfall from one aspect. For those of us who are used to beautiful California weather, even in the wintertime, we were all hunkered down most of March because it rained pretty hard. But there's been a drought in Northern California for the last 3 years, and the drought was officially lifted just a week or so ago because of the excessive rainfall we've had, and that's a good thing. All in all, it's a great thing. It doesn't overly affect the vintage or the growing season. More importantly, it puts water into our reservoirs and a high snowpack in the Sierras so that later in the growing season, even this summer, and with so much water going into at least next summer, we're guaranteed that if we need water to give them a little drink during the warmer part of summer as the fruit is developing, we have the water. So that's the upside of an outstanding rainfall.
Sounds good. Any impact on bud break?
Somewhat. I mean, it can at times delay bud break. A lot of water down in the water table because the root systems react to the warmth of the ground and the lack of moisture to force them to bud out. And so there is a considerable amount of water down on the water table. So it may slightly delay bud break, but in that it's been so warm for the last 2 weeks, that probably is overriding the water factor down in the water table because we're already seeing bud break in virtually all the vineyards.
All righty, let's get to work.